All right, so today what I wanted to do was go over basically the article that's coming out that I've written and that's going to be coming out in I'm not sure whether it's going to be a month or so, but of course you guys are part of the inside group. You guys are part of the team, so you get a little advanced reading of it, and I'll put it up on the website if you just promise not to share it with anybody. But what I want to do is run through this today because I asked you guys last week. I said, what is it that what is it that's giving you the most problem? What is it that we want to cover more on? And two of the things I got were altering negative behavior. How do you modify negative behavior? And the other one was developing a trader mindset. And what is the trader mindset? And I was thinking about how to address those two problems, or those not even problems, but those two issues. What I came to on Friday night was, well, hey, I've got an article I just wrote on discipline. Both of these things, developing a trading mindset and altering negative behavior, both fall into the discipline category. And what we ought to do is just run through this article and kind of talk through some of these things, because and we'll talk a little bit about neural-associative conditioning and how you actually go about modifying behavior, because everything that we do in life is the result of one of two things. It is a move to avoid pain or a move toward pleasure. Now, any decision, you can think of any decision that you make is derived from one of those two extremes. I either don't want to feel any pain or I want to move towards pleasure. And it really, the simplest form of this is something, if you would take, for example, going for a walk. You go for a walk, it's a beautiful day. And, you're just having the time of your life. You see a park bench, and you think to yourself, man, it would be nice just to sit here in the cool breeze, the sunshine on this spring day, and just smell the air. So you're already in a state of contentment, and you go ahead and sit down on the park bench, and that is a decision that you made in order to move towards pleasure. Now, we know that as human beings, and we know this from studies that have been done time and time again, that human beings will always move to, always is not the right word. As the majority of the time, human beings will move to avoid pain before they will move towards pleasure. Take, for example, that same situation where you've got a person you're out for a walk, and you're walking and your feet start to hurt, and you're like, man, I've been walking for a long time. It sure is a nice day, but man, it would be even nicer if I sat down. And so you go over and you sit down on the park bench. Well, in that case, although you moved towards pleasure, a more pleasurable state than you came from, in reality, what you've done is moved to avoid pain. Your feet hurt. You wanted to move from an uncomfortable state to a more comfortable state. A move away from pain towards pleasure. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because what we have to do as traders, when we get into the market and we start trading, and we're talking about wanting to have more discipline and modify our behavior and have a trading mindset and all of those things, is we have to begin to modify what brings us pain and what brings us pleasure. And people have a hard time understanding what that is, because they say, well, how do I choose? I mean, if something doesn't feel right to me, it just doesn't feel right. How am I supposed to change that? And fortunately for us as human beings, we have the ability to do that. And I'm going to explain a couple of different scenarios on how this gets done, and then give you some tools that I think are going to help you begin to identify what's causing you pain and help you to modify those types of emotional feelings and help put you in the right frame of mind. So, discipline, why you don't have it and how to get it. It's the thing. When you break it down and cut out all the noise, all the talk about trading systems and EAs and psychology, money management and risk management, what trading really comes down to is discipline. It's the one thing that will make or break you as a trader. A winning system? Well, without discipline, you won't follow it. Tight spreads? Without discipline, you'll still overtrade, costing you a fortune in broker fees. If you've got a lightning fast internet connection with split-second news feed, everything, all the bells and whistles that you can imagine. Without discipline, you will constantly miss good trades due to your own indecision. But this is nothing new. Everybody knows that you need discipline to be a trader. The question is how. I've always believed that the best teaching tools come from real life. Now, you guys know that. I try and use as many real-world examples, as many day-to-day examples as I can to teach these principles. Because I think, well, I know that when you have an example that makes sense to you, you have something for your mind to be drawn back to. You've created an association. And just neural associations. You've created an association with something else that you identify with that now helps you in your trading. So I try to use as many real-world examples as possible. So I want to talk to you for a little while about something else in life that takes a great deal of discipline and has roughly the same success rate as trading, and that's weight loss. Nearly everyone reading this article can identify with a waistline that's become a little, well, unflattering. At some point, the sight of yourself as you pass by the mirror on your way to the shower becomes too much for even you to tolerate. And we have all been there. We have all been in the situation where, it's time to get clean, and we're walking by the shower or the mirror on the way to the shower, and now it's just you and you. That pesky mirror is staring right back at you, and you are thinking to yourself, my gosh, when did that happen? And at that point, you have to make a decision. And that decision is easier now than it was before. Because you have now the pain of not acting is greater than the pain of acting. I'll use another example for you before we move on too close because I think it's a good one. Remember when you were a little kid? And when I say little kid, maybe you're juvenile. And you had the room that looked like a tornado just went through. Maybe you're one of those spotless kids, but for me, I was a complete train wreck. My room was always a disaster. And, it was a war zone. And Mom would come down and she would say, you need to clean this room. Get it clean. And of course, what do? Well, you don't clean it. That wouldn't make any sense, would it? Why? Because there's pain involved with that. Not physical pain, but there's pain associated. We'll have to take 2 hours to clean this thing up. Man, not acting is easier than acting. It's the same reason you throw your clothes across the chair instead of folding them up and or hanging the shirt back up or throwing it in the wash or whatever the case may be, throwing it in the hamper. It's because it's easier to toss it across the chair. And so, what does Mom come down and do next? Well, the first thing she wants to do is try and motivate you positively. Positive motivation, right? So she comes downstairs and she says, listen, wouldn't it be nice to have a clean room? I mean, can't you imagine what it would be like to come down here into your room or upstairs into your room and just have a spotless clean room? All the dirty dishes are gone. All the clothes are in the basket or folded in your dresser drawer. Why don't you clean the room? And you sit down and you think to yourself, well, yeah, man, that really would be nice. I would walk in here, it'd smell nice. All my clothes would be able to find stuff again. All these dirty dishes that I've been eating in my room for weeks will be out. That sounds great. But then what happens? Well, the flip side of that coin comes around, like, yeah, but I got places I want to be and things I want to do. I've got 2 hours. It's going to take me 2 hours at least to clean this room up. And so you ignore it. You say, no, I'm not going to do it. Why? Because the pain of taking the time to clean your room is greater than the pleasure you will receive by having a clean room. You may even do something like tell yourself, well, it's just going to get dirty again anyway. I'm going to spend 2 hours cleaning it up, and in a week it's going to look like this again. And so you justify your action. You justify your need to avoid pain by creating a scenario down the road that makes it tolerable. So then what happens? Mom finally gets fed up with it. She comes downstairs and she tells you, look, you're going to clean this room because you are not leaving this house until it's done. Your mother has now attempted to apply pain in order to modify a behavior. Now you're faced with this decision. What's more painful? Sitting at home, never getting to go out, never getting to do anything, or spending 2 hours to clean my room? Well, now the decision becomes easy. Now I have to clean my room because now I have switched what brings me pain and what brings me pleasure. Now, not cleaning my room brings me more pain than cleaning my room. Because I have a new association, I have new information. This is what we're talking about when we talk about modifying behavior. These are the things that, as we continue to go through this, that you're going to have to do as a trader in order to modify basically your emotional state in the market. But let's get back to weight loss here. So we've decided now. We've seen ourselves. We're disgusting in our own mind. And we say to ourselves, not only do I not look good anymore, and summer's right around the corner, and there's no way that I'm getting into a bathing suit and going out to the pool looking like this, but also, there's a real health factor. I'm pushing 40. I'm pushing 60, whatever the case may be, and I've got a genuine concern here for the longevity of my life. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm making a decision. And what follows is a process that you are going to be very, very familiar with if you've ever tried to lose weight. And this is basically the steps that I put together for most people who are trying to lose weight. Step number 1 is tell family and friends that you are thinking about losing some weight. This is kind of the feeler. What are you looking for? Well, maybe someone says, hey, I think that's a great idea, which, translates into, yeah, you are fat. Or maybe you just want to get the conversation going with someone just to see what they think about it. Step 2 is you listen to those people give you advice about how best to lose weight. Now, most of these people are overweight, especially if you live in America. Pretty much, everybody, if you end up talking to people, you don't ever go to the fitness guru first. You go to a cousin or a friend, and most of the time they are in just as bad a shape as you are. But they are more than willing and, more than ready to give you advice on how best you can achieve your goals. It's nice of them, but maybe not the best source of information, the best source of, process. So the next thing you do is go out and buy several new books, all by the current authors covering the latest strategies for achieving your goal. You buy a bunch of new stuff like a blender, vitamin packs, health food, new running shoes, exercise shorts, gym membership. You've got everything you need because it has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect and it's not easy, then you're not going to do it. So you go out and you spend all of this money to buy all this new stuff. Maybe you get one of those home gyms, spend about $1,000 on one of those. Number 5, you decide to start in a week or so. Why a week or so? Because it's not today. And starting today would be very different. So you have to plan for this. Again, if this isn't perfect, you're not going to do it. So you line everything up so that you've got no excuses and it's a perfect situation. You decide to start in a week. Number 6, in a month, you get the credit card bill for all the stuff that you just bought and decide it's time to get started. Number 7, you religiously follow your diet and exercise program for a full week. Number 8, you start to see some results. Everything's going well. Number 9, you give yourself a cheat day to reward yourself. You say, man, I've been doing this for a whole week. I've done fantastic. I've been to the gym every day. I've been eating healthy on my diet. I'm going to give myself a reward. I'm going to take the wife out for dinner. I'm going to go out to a party with my husband. Step number 10, go right back to your old eating and exercise habits. And number 11, put all your weight back on, and typically then some. This has been the process for nearly every dieter in the world at one point or another. So let's talk about the why. Why is it hard to stay disciplined when dieting? Let me frame the scenario differently, and many of you have heard me talk about this. Let's say you want to lose some weight, and you decide that you're going to cut out sweets. No more sugars. No more soda pop or candies. I don't know what you call it in Great Britain. We call it soda or pop here in America. Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola. No dessert or treats after meals. Nothing. On the surface, this seems to be a very simple, rational, and effective plan for losing some of those unwanted pounds. How hard do you think it will be to follow? Most people would say, sure, Jason, it sounds simple, but it's a lot harder than it sounds. And true. But let me add a critical piece of information. Let's say that you're stranded on a desert island. You're stranded on a desert island. You see what I mean? With no access to processed sugar, with no access to processed sugar, it becomes easy to follow your rules and stay disciplined. Our situation can dictate pain and pleasure. If you have no ability to act, then it becomes very easy to take on painful situations like losing weight, like adjusting diet. If you don't have opportunity, although you may have pain, you don't have a choice, so you just accept it. But let me change the scenario one last time. What if you worked at a pastry shop? Now, I'm not just talking any pastry shop, but the kind of shop that would rival Le Grenier à Pain, and I believe that's how you say it. Somebody from France, let me know. If I don't think I've got anybody from France in the room. But this is a very famous pastry shop in France, in Paris. It's from my understanding one of the greatest pastry shops in the world. But every day you show up and create some of the most delicious morsels ever devised. You get to smell the aroma of fresh baked sweets as they waft through the kitchen. The display case is lined each day with every conceivable guilty pleasure. Occasionally you poke your head out to find the patrons of the shop enjoying the fruits of your labor, and you see the look of satisfaction on their faces as they devour every last bite. Get the picture? So how long do you think you could stay disciplined and committed now? Not long. It's because you've now changed the scenario. You've now made it. You've given yourself not only access, but a massive amount of access to the very thing that you're trying to avoid. You're a gambler who lives and works in a casino. A gambling addict who lives and works at a casino. You are an alcoholic that owns a liquor store. Traders, your commitment to follow your trading plan and stay disciplined is just like a commitment to cut out sugar. The problem is the Forex market is your bakery. This is the reason why so many traders have so much trouble staying disciplined. Is because, like I said, they're a gambling addict at a casino. They're an alcoholic who owns a liquor store. They are a professed dieter that works at a bakery. Each and every day you sit down to trade, your commitment to follow your trading plan will be tested. The market will seek at every turn to challenge your resolve and attempt to push you out of your comfort zone, causing you to make impulsive, emotional decisions rather than disciplined and planned ones. Many people will tell you that it's wrong to look at the market as a living, breathing entity. The market is not out to get you, and many of you have heard me talk about that before. The market is not out to get you. The market is nothing more than a collection of people. But I find in this case that it serves the analogy well. The market is the representation of every trader's decision. It should be at a specific point in time. That's all. But the market rewards risk and punishes those that follow the path of least resistance. We talk about this in Trading is Mental Warfare, in the Trading Psychology module. And if you haven't gone through that, I highly suggest that you do as you work through the course. Watch that video. This must be the case in order for markets to function. The markets must reward risk and punish those that follow the path of least resistance. Why? Because if they didn't, then the market would just go up and up and up and up and up, because path of least resistance is to follow the trend. But over time, that has to be punished. Where have we seen this? U.S. market recently. 2008. From 1990, from 2001, from 2001, 2002, all the way up, and now it's come crashing down. All right, we see this. The market has to punish those that follow the path of least resistance. Because of this simple truth, we can deduce that in order to succeed, we must have the strength of our convictions, since they will no doubt run contrary to many in the market. I talked about this week in the free video update. The very first thing I talked about. I don't allow other people to decide and to influence my decision-making process. I don't care who you are. You don't decide for me. Because if I allow you to tell me when to get in, you have to tell me when to get out. You have to tell me where my stops go, where my targets go. I'm making decisions based off of your plan, not my plan. And the cold hard truth, remember 90% of traders lose money. If you want to be part of the 10%, look at what the 90% do, then do the opposite. And this, I think, is true in life as much as it is in trading. 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. 90% of the work, if you want to get real about it. 90% of the work is done by 20% of the people. 90% of the wealth is held by 10% of the people in the world. That means that if you want to be part of the 10%, you have to look at what the 90% do and then do the opposite. You can also look at the 10% and seek to do the same thing, but typically, as human beings, we're closest to the 90%. How many billionaires do you know? You might know one or two. But most of the time, the people that we surround ourselves with, and the people that are around us on a regular basis, are people who are at our same level. Financially, emotionally, age-wise, all those types of things. And so it becomes easier as human beings to take a look at what those around us are doing and then decide, hey, if I don't want to be here anymore, if I want to raise my status in life, I need to look at what these people are doing and then do things drastically different. Now, the same is true in trading. How many multi-million-dollar, $100 million a year traders do you know? Probably not very many. It is much easier to look around you at what you see in the chat forums, what you see posted in other places, and say to yourself, all right, well, I'm going to look at what they're doing, and then I'm going to do the opposite. They goes to chat forums, I'm not going there. They trade emotionally, I'm not going to do that. And just take a look at how you can begin to modify your behavior simply by looking at what other unsuccessful people are doing and then not doing that. Instead of following the same path that everybody else follows, how about you take a different path? Those of you who are here have done that. You have said, I am done doing what everybody else does. I'm going to do what I know I need to do in order to be able to be successful, and that's learn to trade. Okay, so if you're still listening, if you're still reading this, I've kept you in suspense long enough. So how do you stay disciplined given the overwhelming temptation to do otherwise? Discipline is an emotional quality. To have discipline means to have fixed yourself in a course of action and be unwilling to deviate from it. It's conviction. Having discipline starts with a commitment. Even this first step can cause people some problems. A lot of people think that they're committed, but in reality, they're not. Famous quote by Art Tarak. There's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when circumstances permit. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. This is why when we start our trading plan, what's the first thing that I want you guys to do? Is to write out philosophy and psychology. I will not accept excuses. Only results. My own trading plan says there is no option but success. That is all. You don't get to choose to fail. That's not an option. You don't get to choose to quit. That is not an option. I believe that trading is a skill that can be learned. And I am willing to devote whatever amount of time and energy and investment is necessary in order for me to learn that skill. This is the difference between commitment and interest. I know that those of you who are here are committed to your own success. So now we have to take the first step. Step one to staying disciplined is, are you truly committed? If you're not, then make a commitment. You must make that commitment if you ever want to succeed. The first step, while simple, acts as an anchor to your trading. The commitment to succeed is what allows your mind to focus on a goal. This is a moving target. As one goal is achieved, a new commitment and a new goal must be set, allowing you to continue your journey. It's important that we not set, when we start talking about step one and being committed and goal setting, is that we not set that goal too far away for even our own mind to believe possible. So, for example, when you're setting your goals, let's say you're starting out with a $5,000 or a $10,000 account. And ultimately, what you want to be is a multi-gazillionaire. All right, it might be a little bit of a stretch even for your own mind to say, I want to make $1 gazillion. Even $1 million may be a stretch. You may want to believe it, but you may have difficulty. So if you keep it within reason for goal number one, then once the goal is achieved, then you can move on. Maybe your goal is, I want to be able to be consistently profitable for 3 consecutive months. That's what I want. And I'm trading small. I don't plan to make any real money in those 3 months, but I want to show myself, I want to prove that I can be consistently profitable for 3 months. That's my goal. And my commitment is to devote to trading as much time and energy as is necessary to achieve that goal. Now, once that goal is complete, now what? Well, now I want to add a money management strategy. Now I want to get involved. Now I want to start using my position sizing, my money management, all of those tools that I have at my disposal in order to now generate revenue. Why? Because I've proven to myself that I can be consistent. And that through my consistency, that leads to profitability. I've told you before, if you can make $1 a day consistently, you can make $10,000 a day consistently. It's simply a matter of position sizing, money management, and your account size. That's all. Now, in neuro-linguistic programming and neural-associative conditioning, the psychological processes, we actually call this an anchor. You must literally change your perception of reality before you will truly create lasting change. Again, using the weight loss analogy, people who ultimately achieve lasting results have shifted their reality. Often this comes from a doctor visit when they're told they have diabetes. For some, it comes from a heart attack or after a child expresses concern for their well-being. Whatever the catalyst, something changes in the individual at a fundamental level that literally alters their perception of the world. Their new reality causes them to view their decisions differently and shifts their focus from what's important. And I want you to think of this in terms of, well, let's take, for example, in this same example, you show up at the doctor and you find out, most people don't. I watch The Biggest Loser. It's a TV show here in America where they take people who are morbidly obese, massive, we're talking about 400 or 500 pounds. And over the course of 6 months, these people will drop 200-300 pounds. It's really incredible. All they do is work out all day and diet and exercise, but they do a lot on the psychological aspect as well. One of the first things that they do is take them into a room with a doctor and they show them, this is what your cholesterol is. You have diabetes. This is your life expectancy. This is your risk for heart disease. And basically telling you, look, you're a dead man in 10 years if you don't change. They shock the system. They associate so much pain with continuing with the process that they're currently involved with that doing the hard work doesn't seem so bad anymore. And as they're in there breaking themselves day in and day out in the gym, and while they're dieting and trying to stay fit, trying to lose that weight, they now have something to anchor themselves to. Every time the pain starts to get too much to bear, what happens? They're reminded of what that doctor said. The end is near. You're a dead man if you don't change. And that allows them to push themselves just a little bit farther. They think about their kids, many of them. The family. What's going to happen to my 10, 11, 12-year-old son? My little girls. If I die. And that drives them. They've anchored themselves. They have shifted their reality. The pain of not acting now becomes less of an issue than the pain of acting. They have to act. And now they're able to move forward. And so this is what I talk about when I talk about shifting pain-pleasure modality, shifting what brings you pain or pleasure. At a fundamental level, nothing's changed in this person's life. They knew that beforehand that they were on their way to a quick death. Guy's 500 pounds, can't get out of the sofa anymore, can barely get up and walk. He knows. Somewhere deep down inside of him, he knows he's on his way out. He takes a look at his kids every day. He knows, but it's not real. It's not enough to get him moving. Until someone actually shows him or her what's ahead of their life. And so, at that moment, there is a literal shift in the reality that person sees. Everyone knows reality is perception. It's like in life, we view things through a prism. And our prism is designed, basically takes into account our history, what we believe to be true, our own opinions. And because of that, we derive, a view of the world. And that view of the world is reality to us. And what happens to folks who lose weight and keep it off? We're not talking about people who lose weight and then put it back on, but people who actually lose the weight and keep it off, is that they change the prism. Their prism changes. Their view of the world changes. What is important to them changes. And we seek to do the same thing in our own trading. The question then comes, but if blowing up account after account doesn't do the trick, how do we create this anchor? I find that a lack of trading discipline is the result of two specific things. Number one is a lack of direction. You simply don't know what you're doing. Sounds a little harsh, but the whole cold hard truth is most traders simply don't have the education, understanding, and experience, most importantly, to have confidence in what they're doing. If you're struggling with discipline right now, I would venture to say the real question, you really question if there's something you're missing, some piece of the puzzle that you don't yet have. So, again, this article was written for the masses. It was not written specifically for you all here in the Pro Trader group. But this has merit all the same. You guys are working on the knowledge, the education, and the experience part. As you continue to grow and develop as traders, you're going to become more and more confident. Those of you who are trading CTS, those of you who are trading straight counter trend divergence style Fibonacci trading, the more you see the patterns, the more you get involved, the more trades that you take, the more time you spend in study, the more confident you will become in what you're doing. Number two is a lack of or an unprofitable trading system. This one gets misunderstood. I don't mean to suggest that most traders don't have a winning system. What I'm saying is that most traders don't know if their system is a winner or loser. Everybody can identify with this one. Put your hand in the air if you've ever traded something that you didn't really know whether it was any good or not. That's why I laugh when people tell me, I really need to understand all the nuances of the trading system that you've got there and how it's all put together because I can't possibly trade anything that I don't fully understand. Yet, every single person who came in here, I know that you've traded systems that you had not tested. And so, not knowing what the system is, not knowing what the expectancy is, not knowing that information is what causes you, is what prevents you from having that anchor, going right back to the weight loss. All right? What did that guy need? What did that girl need in order to anchor themselves to a path towards change? Well, they needed someone, a doctor, to come in and show them, this is your life expectancy. You are going to die if you don't change, and you're going to die quickly. The same thing in trading. By not having a trading system, you don't have anybody to tell you, yes, this is what you can expect. If you follow, if you don't change, if you choose to do this, if you choose to follow this course of action, this is what you can expect. And more importantly, here's what you can expect if you don't follow your system. But if you don't have any method by which to judge the success or failure of your system, then you've got nothing to anchor yourself to. And as soon as the model goes into a drawdown, as soon as your system starts to pull back, has 1, 2, 3 losing trades in a row, you're going to quit. You're going to go find another system. That system's not working. Or you're immediately going to try and reassess the system, modify the system, add your own special twist in an attempt to create a more perfect scenario, a scenario that doesn't cause you pain. Ultimately, what you want is a trading system that never loses money. Because that would mean you would have no pain. You would always follow the path of least resistance. And that just doesn't exist. So stop looking for it. All right. Most traders have never done the hard work necessary to test and verify the system that they are trading. I would venture to guess that most of you reading this article have not tested the system you are currently trying to follow for any length of time. For those of you who do, let me ask you a couple of questions, and I run through the questions here. Over the past 300 trades, what's the expectancy? What's the average drawdown? What's the maximum drawdown? Average number of losing trades, maximum number of losing trades in a row, average risk-reward profile. Given the money management system, what is the return on investment over the past 300 trades after accounting for slippage and commissions? All important information. Why is it important to know what the average drawdown is? What about the maximum drawdown? Well, this could be important. Why? So that we know how to apply a money management strategy. If we know based on no money management and our position sizing model that we've got a maximum drawdown of 8%, well, now, if we double our risk, we can expect a drawdown of 16%. Are we comfortable with that? Increasing our position size. What about the average number of losing trades? Why is that important? Well, because if we know the average number of losing trades, then when we approach that number, we can still have confidence that we're on the right track. Let's say, for example, after your testing that you found out that you have an average number of losing trades of 5 in a row. Well, guess what happens the next time you have 1, 2, 3, 4 losing trades in a row? Your mind has something to anchor itself to. Psychologically, you can remain grounded in your trading because you've put together you've done the hard work of testing the system so that when you see those, you know that not only is likely, but also that you've prepared yourself for that. You know you're going to see 4 losing trades in a row. You're going to see 5. Maximum number of losing trades in a row, maybe it was 8. So you know not only after 4 losing trades in a row that this is acceptable and highly likely, but that you could also see 5, 6, or 7 more 5, 6, or 7 losing trades in addition to that. And that's still going to be okay. Does your money management system, does your risk management system, position sizing model account for that drawdown? You see how having this information gives you power. Just like the overweight man or woman who goes to the doctor and the doctor says, this is the information, you're going to die. Your life here is going to very quickly come to an end unless you change. That information gives that individual power that allows them to go out and do the work that is necessary in order to change their stars. You doing the hard work on your trading system allows you, gives you information so that you can do the hard work that's necessary in order for you to be successful and change your stars. When this happens, when you do the hard work, your reality literally shifts. You can now change what kind of effect your decisions have on you emotionally based on how you now view your trading. Instead of winning brings me pleasure and losing brings me pain, which is the typical deal that everyone has when they come. Everybody likes to be a winner. They hate to be a loser. So every winning trade there is elation and joy, and every losing trade is, I'm never going to be successful at this. Why don't I just quit now, you dummy? You now have a new reality. Following my rules brings me pleasure. Not following my rules brings me pain. Why? Because you have attached a new association. You have the information. You know, if I do steps 1, 2, and 3, then I can expect 4, 5, and 6. I know that if I don't follow my rules, if I don't do the things that I laid out in my trading plan, that I can expect the same thing that I've been getting for the past 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, however long you've been doing this and losing money. It's very simple. Follow my plan, I make money. Don't follow my plan, I lose everything. Go to the gym, work out, eat right. I lose weight, I live a long time. Don't do those things. Die quickly. Imagine how different your results would have been over the past several months if you had simply applied some of this knowledge. But alas, your trading journey has gone largely the way of the 90%. See if this sounds familiar. And this is the association traders that I make in the article between weight loss and trading. Number 1, you get interested in Forex and find a chat room where you tell others of your interest. You're looking, you're interested. Maybe you've already opened that demo account. And now you're, this is pretty interesting stuff. I think I'll let me see if I can find a community. Wouldn't it be great if there was a community of people out there that just all worked together, people who were new and wanted to come together and share? Well, what do you know? There's a chat room out there. All I got to do is get in the chat room. And man, there'll be people who are new like me, but there'll also be people who are not new. People who really have understand this stuff and can help out. You listen to those people give advice on how best to trade Forex. Most of them are losing money hand over fist. Let me make a very clear and definitive statement. People in chat rooms are not making money. If you are successful, let me tell you, if you are a successful trader, you are not spending your time in a chat room unless you own the chat room. There is no reason for you to be there. All you do, chat rooms are full of whiners, losers, and complainers. That's a simple fact. People who want to pretend that they're something that they're not. Chat rooms, while in theory, are a good thing, where a community can come together and share and learn about foreign exchange currencies or futures or stocks or whatever the case may be. In reality, it's the blind leading the blind, where people develop bad habits, learn misconceptions about the market that they take as truth, and end up costing traders a great deal over time. So after you've gone out and you've talked to people in the Forex market, in the chat rooms, listening to the other losing traders tell you how best to make money, you go out and buy several new books by current authors covering the latest strategies for achieving your goals. Sound familiar? Just like weight loss. Number 4, you do okay in a demo account and decide to go live. Number 5, blow out your account in a month. Now, at that point, you decide, well, maybe I ought to get a little bit of education. I'm not gonna go all the way. Let me just kind of dip my toe into this education thing. And they offer a free weekend seminar, so you attend that. You buy a $97 EA that promises to make you millions while you sleep. And everyone's been in that situation where they've seen the equity curve. They've watched the deal on TV. They've watched the deal on the internet with all the videos and all the people talking about all the money that they're making with this $97 EA. They made their money back in their first 15 minutes of trading. Of course, when you put the EA on, it never really performs like you thought it would. Go figure. Then maybe you join a signal service or a live trading room in the attempt to have someone else tell you what you need to do. Buy here, sell here. Now, you're not really learning to trade, and even if you find one of those rooms and you're successful trading in there, you're always going to be reliant on that individual. You're never going to learn the skills of trading. You're just a puppet. So, you decide to get serious and create a plan to follow. You religiously follow your trading plan. You start to see some results. You get cocky. You slip back into your old habits and you blow your account out again. Sound familiar? Everybody's been there. I want to say there's no shame in it, because there really isn't. There's no shame in going through this process. But if you go through it again and again and again, if you don't learn from your experience, then you're destined to repeat it. Those who don't learn from history are destined to repeat it. And so you've got to really take account of your trading and say, what have I been doing in the past, and how do I prevent myself from doing it in the future? And those of you who are here, again, have taken a huge step in the right direction. The secret to gaining discipline in your trading is having confidence in what you're doing. That comes from knowing, not hoping, but knowing that if you follow your rules with consistency and discipline, that you will achieve consistent results. And that's it, guys. How do we shift reality? How do we alter negative behavior? How do we develop a trader mindset? Well, developing a trader mindset, in my opinion, is really nothing more than being convicted and disciplined about what you do and being willing to do it day in and day out. More to the point of altering negative behavior, how do you begin to alter that negative behavior? Well, you alter negative behavior by finding a way to associate more pain with not acting than the pain of acting. I always want to get out of this trade. When I get into the money, I always want to get out. Well, have you done some testing on it? The first thing that I would tell you is, well, go test that. See what happens. Once you get in the money, let's say 20 pips. And every time you get in the money, 20 pips, you go ahead and you exit the trade. Because you're in the money. How does that work out? Month over month. And you go back and you test it and you find out, well, wow, man, that really didn't work well. I tried it both ways, and you're right. Holding the position is better. Waiting to hit the target is better month over month. Well, now you shifted reality. This is a process that takes time. This is not something that I give you the magic spell. I give you the thing to rehearse. Get up in the morning, and you get up every morning and you just recite the verse, and all of a sudden you're cured in a month. That's not the way we work. You need information. Information gives you an anchor. Information gives you something to believe in. Without that pain associated with not following your rules, with not taking a specific action, You have to associate more pain with not acting than acting. And how you choose to do that is in some cases a very individual decision. I am at a point in my trading, and I don't mean to sound egotistical or above the fray when I say this, but I'm at a point in my trading now where I losses don't really affect me all that much. I don't like to lose, but I know that if I continue to do what I've always done, that I will receive similar results, that I will over time, make a profit. And I do have losing days and losing weeks and on occasion losing months. Those things happen to me. But my time horizon is a lot wider. I've got a lot more history than most traders. I know what it's like to go through a losing month and then have winning months behind it. Most people don't know what it feels like to have a losing month and then continue to trade the same system and see that loss come back over the subsequent months. Most people don't know what that feels like. And so I'm at a point now where that is not really that much of an issue. Now it becomes more of looking at the market, identifying the highest probability trades, and then trading those. But I did it the same way I'm telling you how to do it, which is by associating a massive amount of pain with the bad habits that I was doing in the past and looking to alter into new realities and basically shift the way I viewed the market. And when I did that, I saw a massive change in my trading almost immediately. Every time I had a losing trade, I'd say, did I follow my rules? Yes, I did. Okay, then good. Pat yourself on the back. Good job. You followed your rules. You know that if you continue to follow your rules, you're going to do well. It still took some time, but I got there.